Welcome to Forage Drops. This is Lilian Silva, I'm the Forage Specialist for Clemson Universe, and today on this Forage Drops video, we will be talking about cool season forages management. So let's get started. So when we are talking about establishing forage systems at this point in time, there might be some folks that have not yet established and are wondering if it's too late to establish some forages that they can have the animals grazing. Um, my answer to you, it's really depends, depending where you're located, what the weather conditions are right now on that region, and what species and planting method you would be able to have access now and to plant there. Um, when we establish later in the general recommended planting window would be through mid-November for some regions in the state. We might have some risk to have a harder frost event, and also might run into issues that would compromise and drop some of the total expected seasonal yields for those forages. So these are things to consider. But within that side, we are looking at higher costs of hay and some difficult to even find hay in some regions just because of the challenges that we had earlier in this season with prolonged droughts that a good portion of the region went through. And both things, the hay availability and also the price, increase the price is the more expensive product that we have in the market right now, are considerations to have just because these will be things impacting the prices right now. And I apologize for the excessive rain in this slide because this is due, this was in 2021, not 2022, that we did not have excessive rainfall in most of the region in 2022. Then if you already have established your forage stand, or if you're going to establish, we do need to talk about when we can start grazing, how we are going to be managing those fields. So when we are talking about grazing, we do want to give a proper time for plants to grow and to establish their root system, because that's what it's going to be the main source of energy that they are going to rely on growing back after each grazing event. So it's important to wait the recommended time, or until the plant reaches the recommended canopy height, until you start grazing those fields. Then we do have the ability to graze more intensively these cool season forages, the annual cool season forages. And I'm talking about small grains, I'm talking about clovers, just because we would not be expecting them to come back to persist over time, to come back next year. We're not talking about perennial plants. We're not talking about being managing more intensively tall fescue or alfalfa, because those plants are perennial plants, and we do need to make sure that we establish them and then manage them properly, because we want to have them persisting over time, having longevity on those stands. And one of the ways that we're going to be working on how we manage the intensive the intensity of the grazing, it's going to be through how much forage we're removing and how much stubble height we're leaving behind. So these are going to impact how fast those plants are able to regrow after each grazing event as well. Generally, when we either overseed or establish a cool season forage stands, we are going to be managing them with rotational grazing or doing strip grazing, which is a little more intensive management than the rotational management. And this is going to be a way that works really well with annual forage systems, forage grasses, and grass and legumes. And just a point here is that some producers might choose to cut those cool season forages that they establish, and it's a really good option as well due to the higher quality that these forages have. When we're talking about the forage production, the yield that it can have, I have here a range of production that we can see for these grasses. And generally, most of the cool season forages, they are going to be growing between late December, early January through April, or some of them even can start growing a little later just because they start growing a little later on the beginning of the season as well. For example, annual ryegrass, right? We usually see that peak of production later than for rye, for example, just because we're talking about different forages that will be growing more and having most of their forage production concentrated in the different time of the year during that same fall winter period. And then we also can use clovers. We get the benefit of having some organic nitrogen being incorporated into those forage systems when we choose to add a legume in mixture with other forages. So this is something really good because we're going to be working on the quality of that forage, increasing the forage quality, but also being able to have that input of organic nitrogen as well into the system. Then we are able to use just forages as well for different type of grazing systems. One of them being crop grazing, which is when we use a part of the area dedicated to the calves to have access, or only in these cases the goal here is to really allow only the animals that have higher nutritional requirements, so it can be calves or other animal categories. And then we usually use for calves, so we usually have a creep gate that only pass through, and then they're going to be able to have access and really graze and have a input of that higher quality forage quality and really meet the requirements they have for their diet. So because I'm talking about legumes, I do like to bring the issue of bloat up as well. So I've heard Dr. Ball say this before, that it's been more money lost on the fear of bloat than actual bloat. So bloat is the buildup of trapped gas in the rumen. So if you ever saw an animal having this problem, it starts to really become really bloated in one of the sides of the body, and can get really to a point that the animal health and life can be compromised. So there are ways that we can prevent that. One of the major things is, especially in early spring, it's going to be really important to think about this, because that's usually the time that most pastures are still regrowing, and you might be having a shortage of forage at the time in the fields. So if you have a stand that you have the majority, or it's a legume based stand, be sure to not turn those animals hungry on that pasture, on that area, especially on the first time. When animals are grazing legumes for the first time, or really just on the beginning of the season, when they were not on a diet that had some level of legumes there, it's really important to turn them for 1 hour, half an hour on one day, and they only kind of like build up on the time that they're going to spend there. If you are going to turn them into a paddock that has the majority of the stand in legumes, or it's a legume only stand, make sure you provide hay before, and then you also leave hay, grassy hay, um, in the field, so they can have a mix of grass and legume in their diet, so they're diluting some of that legume level on their as they ingest food and as they eat. And that's one of the good points of using mixtures of forages when you are going to have legumes. So for example, when we talk about introducing clovers into a small grain, or a rye, ryegrass mixture, that's what we're doing. We're diluting the proportion of legumes that those animals are having. And also you can always rely on having some supplements like monazine and ionophores. Those help the animals to really metabolize those that part of the legumes in the diet, so it's going to be beneficial to have them offered there for the animals as well. With this, I conclude what I had for today. I really appreciate your watching just Forage Drops. My name is Lilian Silver. I'm the Forage Specialist at Campson Universe. My email, my contact is right here on the screen. I do have a Facebook page, a YouTube page, TikTok, and Instagram with the same Forage Drops name. If you'd like to follow any of them, I really appreciate your help and support with these social media channels. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your local extension agent or to myself through this email. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you on the next Forge Drops. Have a great one.